So, if you're watching this, I'm guessing it's because life feels, well, heavy. And look, this isn't about quick fixes or empty promises. This is about something much deeper. How to stay with yourself when everything feels like it's falling apart. I just want to talk directly to you for a second. If you're reading these words and they hit home, if you feel that weight or that emptiness, just stay for a few minutes. Seriously, there's no pressure here to suddenly feel better. This is just a space to be. Have you ever had this thought? You look around at other people and it just seems so easy for them. Meanwhile, for you, there's this constant internal weight you're dragging around. I just want you to know you're so not alone in feeling this. It's a really human thing, even though it can feel incredibly isolating. So, what is this feeling really? It's not a sign that you're broken or that something's wrong with you. Think of it more like a signal. It just means you've been carrying a load, emotionally, mentally, that's just been too heavy for way too long. This is exactly how burnout happens. It's not some big, sudden snap. It's more like a slow erosion happening over time. And on the outside, everything can still look totally normal. You're still going to work, you're answering text, you're doing all the things. But inside, that inner support system has been crumbling for a long, long time. Okay, so where do we even begin? Well, it doesn't start with pretending to be strong. It starts with being radically honest. The very first step back to yourself happens the moment you drop the performance and just acknowledge what's actually going on. This ancient piece of wisdom is everything right now. Know yourself isn't just about knowing your good qualities. It's about knowing your limits, knowing your pain, and knowing your exhaustion. It's really about facing your own reality without any judgment. Maybe your truth today looks something like this, and just saying I'm tired or wow, this is really hard for me, that's not a confession of failure. Not at all. It's the beginning of self-awareness. It's the moment you stop fighting a war against yourself and just state what's true. Now this is so important. There's the pain of the situation, right? But then there's this whole other layer of suffering that comes from the shame we feel about our pain. And psychology totally backs this up. Telling ourselves we should be stronger or should be over this is what truly makes us feel broken. Okay, so if we stop fighting ourselves, how do we move forward? The trick is to stop thinking about saving your whole life. I mean, when you're already overwhelmed, that idea is just paralyzing. Instead, we have to shift the focus from this huge, impossible journey to just one single step. Even Aristotle was onto this. He knew that our lives aren't built on these huge, heroic moments. They're built on the small things we do over and over again. And even now, in this really tough time, you are shaping your life with every tiny choice you make. Sometimes saving yourself looks this simple. People tend to dismiss these little actions, but I'm telling you, this is how you start to come back to life. It's not about finding some grand motivation. It's just about starting a little bit of movement. Each one of these things is like casting a vote for yourself. Let's just completely reframe what progress looks like. On a day when you feel like you can't do anything, if you simply didn't engage in destructive thoughts or habits, that is a huge victory. That's movement. That is holding the line. And it matters so much more than you think. All right, this brings us to what I think is the most important idea we're going to talk about. We need to completely redefine the word discipline. Because honestly, for most of us, our understanding of it is a big part of the problem. We tend to think of discipline as being harsh with ourselves, right? Like there's an inner drill sergeant screaming at us. But that's just self-violence. True discipline, especially when you're struggling, is the exact opposite. It's the quiet, firm act of being loyal to yourself. So this is the key takeaway. Real discipline is saying, yeah, I feel awful right now, I'm struggling, but I am not going to abandon myself in this moment. It's that quiet choice to take one small supportive step, even when you have zero inspiration or energy. That is self-loyalty. The Stoics really got this. You don't have power over what happens in the world, or even over your initial feelings. but you always have power over your inner response. And choosing to be loyal to yourself instead of abandoning yourself, well, that's the ultimate expression of that power. So what does all of this actually mean for you sitting here right now? It means that this painful time, it doesn't just have to be an ending. You can see it as the deconstruction that has to happen right before a new, where honest reconstruction can begin. And that in-between space, it is almost always uncomfortable. The old ways you used to cope, the old version of you, it's just not working anymore. But the new you hasn't shown up yet. This uncomfortable void, though, it's not meaningless. It's actually the place where we start to ask the real questions about how we truly want to live. Your job right now isn't to become perfect overnight. It's so much simpler and, honestly, so much deeper than that. It really just boils down to this one single commitment: to stay present with yourself, especially when you need your own support the most. And this, right here, is the ultimate promise. As long as you don't turn your back on yourself, as long as you can just pause, take a breath, and make one honest step, a path forward will always exist. It might not be an easy one, but it's a possible one. So I'll just leave you with this question. What if you let go of all the pressure? The pressure to be productive, to feel better, to have it all figured out. What if your only real victory today is simply to stay here, to stay in your life, and to stay close to yourself? Because that is more than enough to begin again.